What's up, booktube? It's A. Cooper, and today I'm bringing you my Space Opera September TBR plus my September TBR. We're gonna put it all in one video. So Space Opera September is a month-long readathon hosted by Thomas over at SFF 180. I will leave a link to his announcement video for this year. I made a TBR last year, but I didn't follow it very well. It's no surprise. September was a pretty busy month last year for me. I was working, and I also had my boyfriend come out and visit me. He lives 2,000 miles away, so it was a bit of a production visit, and it just kind of disrupted my entire September. But thanks to COVID, I no longer have a job, and my boyfriend can't fly, so I have plenty of time to participate in this readathon this year. I sound kind of, I guess, maybe sarcastic saying that. I'm actually really excited about this readathon because I've literally been putting aside books with like the thought in my head, ooh, I can read this for Space Opera September, because I love science fiction. I think, reading science fiction a little bit more consistently this year. I always read more fantasy than science fiction, but I really love science fiction, and kind of end of summer is like a really great time, I think, to read it. So yeah, I've got a fair few number of books on my TBR this month to get through. So there are challenges, and in his announcement video this year, Thomas said you could go ahead and this is kind of this year's, because of craziness happening in the world, this year is just going to be like a continuation of last year, so you can go ahead and continue with the challenges, whatever you didn't finish last year, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And I looked through my spreadsheet, my reading spreadsheet for last year, and as far as I can tell, I only finished one qualifying book last September for Space Opera September, and that was False Horizon by C.J. Birch, which is a space opera novel by a woman, and it's also LGBT, both the author and the characters. So I think that means that I have a rank of a space cadet because I only finished one book. I did start a couple of books, but it looks like I didn't finish any of them until October. Bummer, right? And since it's a book by a woman and LGBT, it means I'm on the rebel track. I can't remember if you need to read 2 diverse books to get on that track, or if you just need to read 1 diverse book or 2 books by women. Something like that. Anyways, I'm going down the rebel track, and I'm going to try to hit 2 more challenges. I don't think I'm going to hit the read a book over 500 pages challenge, because I might have one, but I glanced at my shelves and I couldn't find one. I know last year I was going to read Down Below Station in ebook because the ebook is 500 pages, but I now own a physical copy of Down Below Station, and my copy is only like 430. Yeah, 430 pages, and that's too much of a cheat. So this doesn't count. So we're not doing that challenge, but we're going to try to hit some of the others. So for read a novella, I have a copy of Sisters of the Vast Black by Lena Rather. I'm having to read this off Goodreads because I have this on ebook. And this came as part of the In Our Own Worlds Volume 2 collection, which is, it's a Tor.com novella collection where they put together 4 novellas with queer rep. So this is written by a woman, and it's a queer space opera story. It says it's about the Sisters of the Order of St. Rita captain their living ship into the reaches of space in Lena Rather's debut novella. So it's about like nuns whose convent is on a spaceship traveling through space. Sounds interesting. So that'll be my novella. And then for the other challenge I'm going to try to hit, you need to read 1 book written prior to the year you were born. So that would be before 1989. Yes, that's how old I am. And for that, I'm going to be reading Babel 17 by Samuel R. Delaney, and I'm going to be reading this as part of a book club I'm participating in with a bunch of other booktubers. It's the Golden Oldies book club, where we try to read lesser well-known or lesser canonized SFF particularly focusing on like SFF by marginalized authors, queer authors, authors of color, authors who are not US or UK, fiction in translation. We're starting with Babel 17, which did win a Nebula Award and was nominated for a Hugo. I think it might be one of the first books by an author of color that was nominated in the novel category for the Hugos. Not entirely sure, but it was like one of the first. And Samuel R. Delany is not only a author of color, but he's also a LGBT author of color. He's gay. So, and he's not like, I think he is known in SFF circles, but I certainly don't see his name talked about as much as like Asimov or Heinlein, even though he's like a contemporary of them, you know. So we're gonna be reading this one, which has something to do with like there's opposing factions in space war, and like it has to do with language and like how language reshapes your thoughts and stuff like that. Anyway, pretty excited about that. And then everything else I'm reading doesn't correspond to a challenge, but I'm excited to read it anyways. So the first thing I've got out from the library is Network Effect by Martha Wells. This is the Murderbot novel that comes after the novella series, and I loved the Murderbot novellas a lot. So I'm very excited to read this. No clue what it's about. Just the continuing adventures of Murderbot. That's all I need to know. And then I'm also going to be reading at least one Star Wars novel. And this is off my 20 books to read in 2020 shelf. So this is also like my TBR jar pick. I didn't use the TBR jar. I've been reserving this all year for this readathon. That's the Kratos Trap by Michael T. Stackpole. This is the third book in the X-Wing series. I'm very, very painstakingly slowly rereading all my Star Wars Extended Universe novels. I read the second one of these, the Back to War? No, Wedge's Gamble. I read Wedge's Gamble last year for Space Opera September, but I don't think I finished it in September. It was one of those ones I started and then I finished it later because I was reading this at work and I just didn't get through it fast enough. I vividly remember reading this like in the break room at work. And then if I have some time, I kind of would also like to read the next one in the series. That way I can like take two, because this is kind of a long series, so I'd really like to like bust out two of these because I don't think they'll be super slow reads. They're both like 350 pages. This is the fourth one, and yeah, technically this has been living on the shelf with my 20 books to read in 2020, but it's not actually on that TBR. So that's technically 4 novels and a novella, but I will say that Babel 17 is like less than 200 pages because it's a sci-fi novella from the 60s and they were just way shorter back then. So it's kind of more like 3 novels and 2 novellas lengthwise. So I think that will be very, very doable, you know, as long as I just kind of keep up with it. Another thing I might pick up if I have some time, I don't know if I will, but I do have a copy of Red Shirts by John Scalzi kicking around on my Kindle, and that would also be really fitting for this readathon. So I might pick that up if I have some time, or if I just want to like sub it in place of like maybe the second X-Wing novel. So those are the things I plan to read for Space Opera September. I also need to read a couple of arcs, just in general. My choices this month are The Adventures of Isabel by Candace Jane Dorsey. This is an LGBT, I think it's a supernatural mystery coming out from ECW Press. It might just be a mystery. The description on NetGalley says, Book 1 in a mystery series featuring a queer, nameless amateur detective and bisexual Kinsey Milhone meets Canadian Lisbeth Salander. Kinsey Milhone. Is she the Alphabet series? She is, right? Yeah, Sue Grafton's Alphabet series. So this actually might just be a contemporary mystery with no fantasy elements in it. I don't know why I thought it had fantasy elements. Anyways, I've got that. I've also got a copy of Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I am going to be reading that like next. I probably will already have started reading it when this video goes up. And I also have a copy of Northern Wrath by Tilda Cold Holt. That's not too bad. 3 arcs. The Northern Wrath is really long. I don't know if I'm going to get to that one. So 3 arcs and 3 novels and 2 novellas. I do feel like I probably need to put one more book on this TBR from my TBR jar, since I didn't complete that challenge to catch up on that last month. Why don't we do that? The problem with this TBR jar is I now have mostly thrillers left on it, and I have not been in the mood to read a thriller. Lol. Okay, so like I mentioned, the Back to Wars has been in this TBR jar, and I just pulled it out. So that just confirms it's meant to be. We'll do one more. Should probably like put this in the frame, so just having it off frame, rattling around. Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. So, like I said, thrillers. Not only thrillers, but they're all really long. This is definitely... So 529 pages, 530 pages. I definitely picked this up because I was watching, a couple years ago, I was watching a lot more like literary booktube. Simon, can't remember his booktube channel's name, but British literary fiction booktuber. And I think he really likes Kate Atkinson. There's a couple of like British literary booktube people who like read her and recommend her. And so when I found this is like one of her main big novels, right? I got it for like 50 cents and I picked it up. I don't think I'm very interested in reading it. I put it on this 20 to read in 2020 TBR because I wanted to force myself to read it, because I figured if I didn't put it on a challenge, I wouldn't read it. And I'm not feeling it. We'll see. I'll put it on the TBR. I don't think I'll get to it though, but I will take my paper and, you know, maybe this is one of those ones where I'll challenge myself to read 60, 70 pages of it and see if I just want to DNF it and unhaul it. That's what we'll do. Okay, so I think it's very clear by how I started this TBR being really excited for all my sci-fi novels, and then I pulled this out of the jar and I was like, that I should probably just unhaul this. Like, I probably should just not even waste any time. But I will give this a go, because this does have like a life after life. Well, duh, that's the title. But I mean, it's got like this time looping aspect to it. It's kind of got a speculative element to it. So maybe it'll be like Cloud Alice, and I just need to like just get into it, and I'll really like it. Okay, so there we go. TBR plus a couple of ebooks plus a couple of arcs. Let me know if you are participating in Space Opera September, or what you are really looking forward to reading for it. I'm very excited. If you haven't heard of this readathon, be sure to check out the announcement video down below and consider participating, either because you love space operas or because you want to get into science fiction. It's a great chance because it's a month-long readathon, so you know you have plenty of time to try it out. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!